Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell here in the Weather Impact Weather Center tonight. You know, it's really calm outside, relatively speaking. I mean, there's a breeze, but we don't have any big storms anywhere around. Clouds have been thickening this afternoon. The rain wants to fall over us tonight, but the air still near the ground is very dry. That'll be changing as we head into tomorrow. So we still have our weather impact alert. You still have this big upper level system out to the west that's continuing to send energy our way. The next batch of energy that we deal with as we head into tomorrow is essentially what's pulling out into the plains right now, and it's kicking off snow in the colder air across Minnesota up into parts of the Dakotas, and then severe weather on the warm side of the system. We're not really on the warm side of the system just yet. We will be going into tomorrow, but right now we still have more of a southeasterly wind, even though it's gusty. We only made it to 60 for the high today. That's your tornado watch. It's in effect right now across much of central Oklahoma. A couple of cells trying to develop there. More thunderstorms are starting to develop here across parts of Kansas into Nebraska. So we'll be tracking this evening, watching what develops out to our west. What we expect to see is what we have now developing across Kansas to move northeast. So that could impact the areas around Kansas City, northern Missouri, and then what's down towards Oklahoma City and north of Oklahoma City probably slides into southwest portions of Missouri before it tends to fizzle out. So as we head into the wee hours tomorrow morning, and again, this is just one of the high resolution models that we're looking at. The focus will mainly be farther north and west of us, but what's down in Oklahoma right now tends to ride right on up 44. It loses a lot of its punch. So by 3 or 4 o'clock, we have clouds. We may have a few showers, potentially even a rumble of thunder. And then as we head through the morning, the remnants of whatever is left from what was in northern Missouri tries to drive and dive on to the southeast towards St. Louis. That may serve as the focus point as we head into tomorrow for additional showers and thunderstorms to develop. And here's the thing, the more cloud cover we have in the morning, the more scattered showers that we could possibly get early in the morning, the better chances of us missing out on severe weather altogether tomorrow afternoon. Now, we're pretty confident for areas south and east of us, closer to the Wabash River, closer to the Ohio River, pretty confident that those areas will not miss out on severe weather opportunities. That risk area is higher for those spots. By the way, we'll be taking your questions here. You can text them to us at 314-425-5355. So we have our weather impact alert tomorrow. We're thinking about noon to 6, maybe noon to 8, something along those lines, but it looks like it's right after lunchtime when at least the chance of severe or strong storms will increase. First of all, though, it will be, you know how windy it was today. Sustained winds around 20 to 25 miles per hour, gusts 30 to 35. Well, tomorrow, those wind gusts outside of any storms, 40 to 50 miles per hour. We've been through this in the last month a few times with these big storm systems. Unlike Sunday, this actually is a deeper storm system to our northwest. So it has the wind with it. The tree branches, in many cases, because of all the storms last month, because of all the wind we had last month, they're already in a weakened state, and now we're starting to see the leaves popping out. So you have leaves and flowers blooming on the trees. Why is that a bigger deal, or why does that make a difference? Now you have more resistance to the wind on those trees. Instead of the wind being able to just flow through those branches, you have a little more resistance there, which means a 50-mile-per-hour wind 2 weeks ago may have a different impact than a 50-mile-per-hour wind tomorrow. Okay, just for reference. So I think we're going to have some problems outside of any thunderstorms just with the wind. The strong storm chance, thinking afternoon until about 6 to 8 p.m. Just from the wind alone tomorrow, there'll be a few power outages, just outside of any thunderstorms. Add in the thunderstorm potential, and that increases the potential power outages. I'm not sure we're looking at widespread outages across the metro area. I don't really see that at this point, because I'm thinking most of, based on what we're seeing, most of our severe weather threat kind of shifts east and southeast of St. Louis. But there is some tree damage possible. Inside some of the strongest storms, 50 to 70 mile per hour winds can't be ruled out, especially east and southeast of St. Louis. And we can't rule out a tornado, although it's not as favorable as some setups we've seen. The winds seem to be more out of the south versus southeast at the surface, at the ground. And that makes a big difference. Just that little bit, that little 10, 20 degrees off on an angle makes a huge difference. So at this point, what are we doing? What do we need to do? We're keeping our devices charged. We're staying weather aware. And if you're watching this on 5 Plus right now, you're doing exactly the right thing. You know where your safe place is. You're telling your friends, your family, making sure everybody's kind of on board with, hey, we might have a storm tomorrow. And especially east and southeast of St. Louis, that includes Jefferson County, includes down towards Farmington, includes Potosi, it includes Centerville, Lesterville, St. Genevieve, includes Sparta, it includes Belleville, it includes Waterloo, over to Mount Vernon, over to Nashville, Illinois, over to Salem, over to Flora, Vandalia. If you're east and southeast of St. Louis and south, you know, make sure your family knows. Metro area north and west, the actual threat of severe weather is a bit lower. And that morning cloud cover may really help us out. But the thing about it is, any storms that do develop will move very quickly. We would expect they would strengthen pretty quickly tomorrow afternoon as they race through the area. So be ready to act fast if we get some warnings. So we talked about this yesterday. This is the instability going into early in the morning and where our jet stream is with those winds at or above 60 miles per hour in the arrows. You see how that's displaced. So here we are 8 o'clock in the morning. We have some instability showing up, but we're thinking if we have the clouds around, the stronger jet stream, the stronger winds aloft, that's still back to our north and west. So you haven't, co-located those ingredients just yet. As we head towards lunchtime into the afternoon, that's when the stronger wind fields start moving in. That's also, especially south and east of St. Louis, where we should get our peak heating. So we may, and this is kind of an indication, 5:15, you almost can imagine where that cold front is, the actual front itself, back to the west of St. Louis. But there may not be a whole lot going on here, right along the front. The focus by 5 o'clock may be over along the Interstate 57 corridor, or maybe just east and southeast of St. Louis from the boundaries that were put down by the thunderstorms and the showers that we will see tonight that come in from the west and go by to our north, right? So, this looks like it could be bad during the evening, but we're thinking most of the storms have already moved off to the east and southeast of St. Louis. So when the front actually comes through, it doesn't have the ingredients it needs to create severe weather in St. Louis, and that's okay. So with winds, 50 to 70 miles per hour, we have a very windy day outside of any thunderstorms. So high winds, there's a pretty high probability any storm is going to be able to drag some of that wind down. We may have some larger hail, especially east and southeast of St. Louis. Supercells are still possible, especially east and southeast of St. Louis. Power outages because of the wind gusts all day long. That risk is certainly there for scattered outages. I'm not sure how far beyond that we would go, but we don't see widespread power outages. So let's pick things up with the in-close view here at noon. And let's just step this through. So as we go towards 2 o'clock, remember, we've had a fair amount of clouds. What we don't want to see towards mid-morning, 10, 11 o'clock, towards lunchtime tomorrow, is the sun. Sunshine's bad. Heats us up, makes us more unstable, adds more fuel to the fire. So clouds would be great, showers would be great. But we're going to assume that from around St. Louis off to the east, we're getting at least some breaks in that cloud cover. And then along this area here that kind of slices right through St. Louis, pretty much along 44 coming into the metro and roughly up 55 going into Illinois, that's where we would see some sort of development along about 12:30, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock, that's 4 o'clock, in that time frame. The exact timing on this is going to be adjusted by what happens overnight tonight into tomorrow. As we go towards tomorrow evening, you see some of these cells popping and getting a bit more threatening and ominous looking. We are pretty confident that down in southern Illinois here, closer towards Paducah, and then back into southeast Missouri from Cape Girardeau south into the Boot Heel, there is a better, more significant chance for severe weather. Storm Prediction Center moved those areas up into the level 4 category of a moderate risk. They nudged the level 3 category this afternoon a little farther east, so that it kind of slices right through St. Louis. Now, even though areas west and north of St. Louis are now in level 2 instead of level 3, that doesn't mean you won't see severe weather here. It just means that the risk And the chances of seeing severe weather as you go west and northwest of St. Louis are lower. Okay, doesn't take you completely out of the risk area. So we all still need to pay attention to what's going on tomorrow morning. Listen, those showers and thunderstorms that develop late tonight off to our north and out to our west, if they fall apart sooner than we think and those clouds thin out and we get up tomorrow morning and we have breaks in the clouds already and we start to heat up quickly, we have a problem that'll be more widespread. We don't think that's going to be what happens, but it's still on the table. So it's one of those things where we're still monitoring what's going on. There will at least be some severe storms. Some of us will see it. The best chances are east and southeast of St. Louis. Again, the power outage situation is one to watch because of the 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts outside and away from any thunderstorms that are around. So we're going to stay weather aware tomorrow. Here's your future wind gusts. Again, that is a deal for us tomorrow. Those winds will be gusting 40 to 50 miles per hour as we head through the afternoon into the evening. And then later tomorrow night, the wind should settle a little bit. We have a wind advisory. That goes from noon until 7 o'clock on Wednesday for most of our area. It doesn't include Herman. It doesn't include Rolla. It doesn't include Steelville. That doesn't mean you won't have gusty winds. It just means you didn't get quite to the criteria. You'll probably still have 40 to 45 mile per hour winds. But we could see some spots with gusts higher than 50 as we go into tomorrow afternoon. So look across the region right now. Look at the temperatures. There's a big difference here. Go to the north up in Chicago, not so pleasant, 42 degrees. Omaha in the low 50s. Tulsa back into the 70s. Wichita 70, Memphis 70, and we're still stuck here in St. Louis in the upper 50s at this hour. Okay, so we're cool. We're still on the cool side of this. That'll change tomorrow. And here's the problem that we have as we go through the next few days. Okay, not only do we have this wind tomorrow, not only is there a severe weather threat tomorrow, but this is your rainfall totals. All right? This could very well be from Cincinnati down through Evansville to Paducah to Louisville, into the Boot Heel, down towards Memphis, even Cape Girardeau, even Carbondale. We may be looking at 10 to 15 inches of rainfall in spots somewhere on this axis here. And it's not all coming in one day. This is going to be from Wednesday's system, more rain that comes in on Thursday. It's all the same weather pattern. It's the same chunk of energy that's out to the west that keeps steering these disturbances our way. So we've identified like 3 separate ones: Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So I guess that's 4. But you're going to look at waves of rain, and the heaviest looks to be focused down to the south and southeast of St. Louis. 2 to 5 inches is likely across most of the metro area. In fact, probably 3 to 6. But we're sticking with the 2 to 5 from St. Louis north and west. And then, we'll start increasing. You get down towards Farmington, towards Sparta, maybe Nashville, we may be talking about 6 to 8 inches here. Kind of you're in that band of the 5 to 10 inch range. Here's the thing. Wednesday's storm may not produce a lot of rain for all of us. It will produce some rain for some of us. Southeast Missouri has been somewhat dry, so you could use some rainfall. So Wednesday probably isn't a big problem in terms of the rain and the rainfall amounts, but it gets the ground wet here in areas south and southeast of St. Louis. And so from Wednesday evening right on through Sunday morning, your flood watch is in effect here across southeast Missouri, across a good chunk of southern Illinois. In the metro St. Louis area, that includes St. Clair and Monroe counties in Illinois and Jefferson County in Missouri. Points east and south. Greenville, you're in the flood watch, okay? We think you're going to be looking at 4 to 6, 7 inches of rain here southeast of St. Louis easily, and maybe more than that. And in some cases, there may be more than a foot of rain. It will come starting on Wednesday with the scattered showers and thunderstorms. But then by Thursday, when that batch comes in, that's a more widespread batch. Then there'll be a lull. Then there'll be another batch taking us into Friday, and then another batch going into Saturday. By the time we get to Friday and Saturday, that's when we will have heightened concerns for flash flooding across southeast Missouri and southern Illinois. Because at that point, the ground is saturated. we're already looking at creeks and streams that are running high. So if we take another 2, 3, 4 inches of rain and put it on top of the 2, 3, 4 plus inches of rain that's already fallen, it's going to create some flash flooding. We say that not to alarm you, but know if you're going down 55 in Missouri this weekend, or you're planning to go down 24 or 57 south of Mount Vernon, over 64 eastbound into southern Indiana, know that those areas stand a substantial risk of seeing perhaps historic flooding this weekend. So for tonight, it's just a few scattered showers in the clouds, and it's cool but not cold. Temperature's not going to drop much at all. Tomorrow, 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts, shower and thunderstorm chances around. Chances are highest for St. Louis during the afternoon and early evening hours. It's no guarantee that you're going to see thunderstorms across every single spot tomorrow. Not everybody's getting in on it. All right? I know some of you have texted in some questions, so I'm going to get to them here, and let's see what we have for you. Let me go back here. What time is the severe weather supposed to start tomorrow? If we have it tomorrow, we're thinking our time frame on this is probably around or a little after lunchtime tomorrow. So we kind of have the noon to 6, noon to 8 kind of deal. That's what we're thinking for tomorrow. Are severe storms less likely in the metro area as of right now for tomorrow? Well, the answer is yes, they are less likely. They're still possible, but it's definitely not a lock. All right, and here's our 11-year-old friend who likes to ask questions. Weather Service put us in a slight risk. Are we still going to get some supercells? Well, that's possible. It's probably not as much around St. Louis as it will be east and southeast of us. That's where we expect to see better chances for more organized, if you will, thunderstorms. So those supercells. And supercells are a type of thunderstorm, when they're out by themselves, they tend to literally kind of create their own weather, and most of the time they do produce at least some sort of severe weather. But you're most likely to see those in the areas that are highlighted in that moderate risk there. And that includes, across a good chunk here of the middle and lower Mississippi Valley, basically from about Perryville south and Mount Vernon south, going through Paducah, going into western Kentucky and western portions of Tennessee, the Boot Heel, and then a good chunk of eastern Arkansas too. So, that's where the worst of it is. Are areas more north like Bowling Green? Well, there went a soda. Dog nabbit. Are areas more north like Bowling Green seeing less of an impact due to the earlier storms? That would seem to be the case. It would seem to be areas north and west would get less of an impact. You may have some rumbles early in the morning, but we don't think it's going to be severe. Should we worry about sending the kids to school in the Godfrey-Brighton area? I think the school districts, they all get the decision support services from the National Weather Service. They have contingency plans. I think at this point, based on what I'm seeing tonight, they're going to wake up tomorrow morning and they're going to kind of see what the latest forecast trends are. The superintendents will. And they've already worked out some options, I would think, today. Most school districts and even individual schools have plans for severe weather like this. So they pretty much know, what the course of action is and how they're going to handle things ahead of time so that, they don't have to, go outside the box. And I can tell you this, I don't think your school districts, if there was severe weather that was going to threaten and they were getting ready to go for dismissal, they'd hold the kids there. So I wouldn't worry about sending your kids to school tomorrow because they have a plan at school and they practice what to do. Troy, Illinois. What's the weather going to be like in Troy, Illinois tomorrow? So Troy, Illinois tomorrow, I think you have a pretty good chance of thunderstorms. And I think it's going to be probably 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon when we get there. Haley is saying technically in the cutoff between the slight and enhanced risk in Jefferson County? Are we still thinking EF2 plus tornadoes possible in this area, or mainly just hail and spin-ups? Hi, Haley. And I know a lot of you in Jefferson County, especially after the 14th, um, it's you have some anxiety with these storms, and I totally understand that, and storm fatigue as well. So between the two, that's a real concern. I don't think that you have the ingredients at this point for those stronger tornadoes in the St. Louis area proper, and that would include in Jefferson County, even into the Metro East. I think that's more likely as you get from Mount Vernon south and also from Perryville south. And we kind of talked a little bit about that last night. Those are the areas where the ingredients are more likely to enhance that chance. You also have your winds backing a little bit better there, so you get better twisting from the surface up through the cloud layers. So at this point, the chances of having a tornado in any given spot anyway is not that high. The chances of having a strong tornado is even lower. So I wouldn't worry about it. But here's the thing. We're all going to be doing our safe thing tomorrow, and we're going to, play it by ear, and we'll see what's going on. And all we can do when there are thunderstorms is know that they're happening and then move to our safe place and do everything we can right to make us as safe as we can be. And in most cases, that usually is sufficient. It's a lot of times people that aren't paying attention that we get into trouble with. Jerseyville, slight risk. Yes, you are still in it in Jerseyville. In St. Charles, well, you have possible tornadoes tomorrow. Probably not in St. Charles, but you can't completely say no. It's not a zero threat, but it's a pretty low threat once you get west and north. Once you're out of that enhanced risk, unless you see the sunshine early tomorrow morning. If you see the sunshine early tomorrow morning, then it would be a totally different thing, and we would get into a mess. So that seems to be wrapping up most of our questions right now. I'll just kind of pop back over here because I'm trying to do things, multitasking in this world we live in where we like to do multiple things at once, and we try to do it as best we can. But again, listen, I'm as concerned as anybody out there about what's going to transpire tomorrow. I'm more concerned for those of you that are east and southeast of St. Louis, most concerned about the folks down in southeast Missouri and far southern portions of Illinois, because that's where the greatest risk looks to be. Not that the risk is low around St. Louis, it's lower as you come back into the metro area and then go to the west. But it still exists, which means we're all going to be staying weather aware going into tomorrow. And we're going to just see how these storms evolve. Now, it's just a little after 7 o'clock. The National Weather Service, folks in the offices nationwide just launched those balloons. They're getting profiles of what the atmosphere looks like. That's going to get put into the computer models. They will start running those. About an hour from now, we'll start seeing some new high-resolution output of what might happen tomorrow. And we say what might happen because the computer models, while they judge how the atmosphere is operating and the ingredients that are all there, they still aren't down to the scale of our backyards. We're a lot closer than we were. I can tell you with greater likelihood about rain on Friday than I can about severe thunderstorms tomorrow, because that's a widespread system that is based on large-scale processes. And we have those large-scale processes available to us tomorrow, but it's the smaller scale things that actually drive where those storms will actually develop tomorrow and how intense they'll get and how they'll go forward into the afternoon and into the evening as they push south and east and how strong they'll be. So I tell you what we're going to do. I'll be monitoring the chat through the evening hours, so if you have any questions this evening, you can pop in there. I'll try to get to it. But we'll be back with you right after the 10 o'clock news here on 5+. And we'll go over what we know that's new and what we see that's happening next. All right? You guys have a safe evening. We'll get through this together.